She wasn't crying because the Mafia boss had kidnapped her. She was crying because he was the first man who had ever looked at her, as if she was worth saving. Everyone believed the most feared man in the city had finally found his next victim. But they had no idea. The real danger wasn't the Mafia boss. It was the secret buried inside the woman sitting silently beside him. A secret that could destroy his empire, or become the reason he would burn the entire underworld to protect her. And before this story ends, one heartbreaking choice will force them to decide whether love is stronger than betrayal. Imagine spending your entire life believing that nobody could ever truly love you. Not because people never met you, not because you never tried, but because every person who entered your life eventually made you believe you weren't enough. That was the life of Isabella. She wasn't ugly. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't difficult. She had simply grown up surrounded by people who convinced her that love always came with conditions. Her father abandoned her before she could even remember his face. Her mother reminded her almost every day that she had ruined her future. Every relationship ended the same way. Someone always found someone prettier, someone richer, someone more exciting. After years of hearing the same words, "You're just not enough," she finally believed them. By 26, Isabella had stopped expecting happy endings. She worked quietly at a small antique bookstore. She avoided parties, ignored compliments, never looked anyone in the eye for too long, because hope hurt more than loneliness. Then one rainy evening, everything changed. She closed the bookstore late. The streets were almost empty. Thunder echoed across the city. She noticed a black luxury car parked across the road. It had been there for almost an hour. The windows were too dark to see inside. She looked away and continued walking. Then she heard tires screeching. Another vehicle sped toward her. Men jumped out. Everything happened within seconds. Someone grabbed her arm. A hand covered her mouth. She tried to scream. Before they could force her inside the van, another convoy appeared. Black SUVs surrounded the street. Doors slammed open. Men in dark suits stepped out with impossible precision. No shouting, no panic, just complete control. Within moments, the kidnappers were on the ground. The man who stepped out last never raised his voice. He didn't need to. Every person there feared him before he even spoke. His name was Alessandro Moretti, the city's most powerful mafia boss. A man whispered about in fear. A man who supposedly destroyed lives without mercy. Yet instead of leaving, his eyes stayed on Isabella. She expected him to walk away. Instead, he removed his expensive coat and placed it over her trembling shoulders. He didn't ask whether she was beautiful. He didn't ask whether she was useful. He simply asked one question. "Are you hurt?" Those 3 words shattered something inside her, because nobody had asked her that in years. But why had the most dangerous man in the city risked exposing himself? To save a woman he had never met? And why did the kidnappers keep calling Isabella the girl we've been searching for? The answer would change both of their lives forever. After rescuing Isabella, Alessandro insisted she remain under his protection for a few days, because whoever had tried to abduct her would almost certainly return. She resisted at first. Every instinct told her to stay away from a man whose name inspired fear across the city. But she had nowhere else to go. The apartment she rented suddenly felt unsafe. Her co-workers had already heard rumors about the attempted kidnapping. Even strangers seemed to be watching her. With no better choice, she accepted Alessandro's offer. She expected a prison disguised as luxury. Instead, she found something completely different. The mansion was quiet. The staff treated her with respect. No one mocked her. No one demanded anything from her. Most surprising of all, Alessandro kept his distance. He arranged security, meals, and a comfortable room, but never acted as though she owed him gratitude. For someone who had spent her entire life expecting kindness to come with a price, his restraint was confusing. Slowly, walls she had spent years building began to crack. She noticed small things. He always made sure she had breakfast before leaving for work. He remembered which tea she preferred. He quietly replaced a broken necklace she had tried to hide. He listened whenever she spoke, even when she thought her stories were unimportant. No grand speeches, no expensive gifts, just quiet acts of care. For the first time in years, Isabella caught herself smiling without forcing it. Yet Alessandro carried a sadness she couldn't ignore. Late at night, she often saw him standing alone on the balcony, staring into the darkness as if haunted by memories he refused to share. She wanted to ask, He never let her. Still, something was changing between them. Neither dared to name it. Weeks later, Isabella discovered why. Alessandro had looked at her with such unexpected concern. The night they met, years earlier, his younger sister had disappeared after becoming involved with dangerous people. Before vanishing, she had written him one heartbreaking letter. In it, she begged him to stop letting revenge define his life. She believed love was the only thing capable of saving him. He ignored her. Days later, she disappeared forever. When Alessandro first saw Isabella, her quiet kindness reminded him painfully of the sister he had failed to protect. At first, he wanted only to keep her safe. But somewhere along the way, protecting her became loving her. Meanwhile, Isabella uncovered another truth. The attempted kidnapping had never been random. Her late father had secretly worked as an accountant for one of the city's most influential crime families decades earlier. Before dying, he had hidden evidence exposing millions stolen from powerful men. Someone believed Isabella knew where those records were hidden. She knew nothing, but everyone else believed she did. Instead of telling Alessandro immediately, she kept the truth to herself. She feared he would see her as another problem. When he eventually learned she had hidden such an important secret, he felt betrayed, not because of the information, but because she hadn't trusted him. For the first time, distance replaced warmth. The silence between them hurt far more than any argument. Convinced she had ruined the only healthy relationship she'd ever known, Isabella packed her belongings and quietly left. She believed she was doing him a favor. She still thought she wasn't someone worth fighting for. She couldn't have been more wrong. Hours after Isabella disappeared, Alessandro searched every place she might go. Not because she possessed valuable information. Not because she was under his protection. Because his life suddenly felt empty without her. He eventually found her sitting alone on a quiet pier overlooking the water. She looked smaller than he remembered, as though years of rejection had returned all at once. She expected anger. Instead, Alessandro apologized first. He admitted that fear had spoken louder than love. He confessed something he had never told another soul. For years, he believed caring about someone only gave the world another way to hurt him. Then Isabella arrived. Without trying, she reminded him that vulnerability wasn't weakness. It was the only reason life had meaning. Isabella finally admitted the truth she had hidden from everyone. She wasn't afraid of criminals. She wasn't afraid of danger. She was terrified of believing someone loved her, only to be abandoned again. Alessandro looked directly into her eyes and made one promise. He would never ask her to become someone else. She didn't need to earn love. She already deserved it. For a woman who had spent her life believing she was never enough. Those words changed everything. Together, they turned over the hidden records to the authorities through trusted legal channels, ending the threat hanging over Isabella's life without glorifying violence. Months later, the mansion no longer felt like a hiding place. It felt like home. Isabella reopened an old bookstore with Alessandro, quietly supporting her dream from the background. She laughed more. She trusted more. Most importantly, she finally saw herself the way he had seen her from the very beginning. Not broken, not unwanted, not someone who needed fixing, simply someone worthy of love. And perhaps that was the greatest miracle of all, because the most feared man in the city didn't save Isabella by fighting enemies. He saved her by destroying the one lie she had believed her entire life, that nobody could ever love her. Sometimes the strongest hearts aren't the ones that survive violence. They're the ones brave enough to believe they deserve to be loved.